Have you fallen for Satan's bait through the mouth of another? Has someone come to you? Tick, 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 tick. You know what they said about you? Do you know what they said about you? Do you know what they did? Have you taken on somebody else's offense? Are you offended with God? Let that sink in. Are you offended with somebody because of something somebody else told you about somebody? You don't even know if it's true. But you didn't do Matthew 18. You didn't go to that person. See, I use everything in my life as a lesson to examine my heart and to teach the body. Have you taken on an offense and you didn't go to that person and ask them about it? You just believed it. And now you're bitter, you're getting resentful, you've got unforgiveness, and you're attracting demons in your life? Or did you go to that person and say, hey, somebody told me this. How about this? This would be even better. Bring the person in the room who sowed the seed of discord, and 3 of you sit together and find the truth. Are you bitter over something that happened to you, that somebody really did to you? Are you offended with God? Are you offended with God? Are you offended with God? Your first instinct will be to say, no, I'm not. But there was a man in the Bible named John the Baptist. And actually Jesus said of him in Luke 7:28, I tell you, among those born of women, there is no greater than John. What an honor, what an accolade. Jesus said of him, among those born of women, there is no one greater than John. No one greater than John the Baptist. And yet John the Baptist was offended with God. John the Baptist, who said, this is the Son of God. I'm not worthy to tie his shoes. He's coming after me and he's going to baptize you with fire. He's the one who baptized Jesus and said, this is him. This is the Messiah. This is the one who paved the way for the Christ to come to the earth. This was the forerunner of Jesus. He believed in him before anybody else did. He knew who he was before anybody else did. He had the revelation before Peter did, before the woman at the well did, that this was the Christ. But he got offended with God. Are you offended with God? Are you offended with somebody else? You've got to deal with this offense because it's releasing witchcraft. You're offended with God, you open the door to the enemy to attack you. Listen, Luke 7, verse 18. Luke 7, verse 18, reading from the Amplified Bible. And John's disciples brought him, who is now in prison, word of all these things, all the works of Jesus. Verse 19, and John summoned to him a certain 2 of his disciples and sent them to the Lord. Are you he who is to come, or shall we continue to look for another? What a question. This was the John who said, this is the Christ. And now all of a sudden, because you're in jail and he hasn't come to rescue you, you're sending your people to him and saying, hey man, are you the real deal or what? Should I look for another Christ? You already confessed he was the Christ. You already told your disciples are now following him. Well, you didn't get offended over that. You said, John, you said, I must decrease that he might increase. But now because you're in jail, you're wondering, was he really the Messiah? Because he didn't deliver you out of that problem. Let's bring it home. Because Jesus didn't deliver you when you wanted to be delivered, because Jesus let something happen to you that you didn't think should ever happen, because Jesus hadn't healed you and he healed 5 other people in your church because are you offended with God? John summoned to him a certain 2 of his disciples and sent them to the Lord, saying, are you he who is to come, or shall we continue to look for another? Verse 20, so the men came to Jesus and said, John the Baptist sent us to ask you, are you the one who is to come, or shall we continue to look for another? John sent them. Verse 21, in that very hour,